made a video a couple of years ago on energy transfer. I filmed it in the Arizona desert when I was in America, and I want to cover it just a little bit more today because I don't, I did cover it. I did a half an hour video then, so it's quite long. But I want to talk about today with energy transfer, like the safest way to gain your energy and keep it. And if you think about the world as being full of, it can be full of lies and truths. Sometimes what we feel is true isn't actually true. So we have to be very careful. And I think this is why the safest place for us to be, to reside mentally, is in our personal truths that we have experienced in our own personal lives, and not buy into anybody else's. We might use other people's information to maybe take us down a deeper into a path of our own personal truth, and that's good too. But I think the only real place where you can, where it's good to absorb that energy is from your personal truth. And what you find is that people who they'll hop from subject to subject and event to event, and maybe really tune into that emotionally, and they're giving all their life's energy over to that. They're actually feeding from it, and then one day that gets taken away as a truth, because it wasn't really a truth to begin with. It was just something that they entertained for that moment. They didn't know to be true, and absorb that energy from it, and one day that gets shattered and the energy has to be fed back into the field. So I mean, there could be prime examples of that. Could be anything from relationships. That'd probably be one that everybody goes through, relationships with other humans, and you think they're somebody and they turn out to be someone else, and you just feel that all that love and that energy you put into them suddenly becomes like a fear or a hate or a lack of understanding, and it gets taken away from you. You feel quite desperate at that point. Any ideologies you have, belief systems, the more what you'll notice with people who are religious is that the more that they power their energy into that belief system, and sort of almost live in their own little reality of convincing themselves that things are true, and they've been fed this information by other people. Lots of other people think the same as them, so therefore it must be sort of true. And then you find one day that they start to hear information that questions what they've been indoctrinated with for 20 years, 30 years, and they absolutely lose it. They will not have that information taken away from them. And the reason being is, if every time that you speak to them, they know what you're saying is true, and they fear that truth, and they fear that illusion is going to be taken away from them, and therefore with it goes the energy source and all the energy they plowed in, that they absorbed from that ideology that was fake, has now got to be fed back into the field. And when it leaves them, they're literally, you can see people, we are energy beings, so you can see people literally, their batteries run out. They think they're gonna, if they poured too much energy into it, you can literally see people die in front of you. You see them deteriorate, and they go into nothing, and they just rot back into the earth because they've not got any more energy to survive. We don't understand these energies yet. We can't measure them, but they're there. What we refer to as magic is basically like an energy source that we don't know how to read yet. One day we'll be able to measure it, and measure its frequency, and see who's operating on different frequencies, and maybe find something new from that, and look back on people like me now talking about this, saying, oh well, people didn't know back then. They just didn't know about this. It would be an everyday occurrence, an everyday knowledge, like us looking back in history and seeing what some people believed in. But really, I think it's the more energy that you plow, as in the more focus that you give, and the more you absorb from an ideology that you don't know to be true. You're just winging it and going along with the crowd. I feel that eventually comes back for you. It comes back to haunt you. It gets taken away from you. And therefore, when you have personal experiences, and you'll find a lot of people who are very stable, you can't take away their truth, because they're speaking from their hearts, they're speaking from their inner knowledge, and their own actual experience that they've had in their life. So when you would come along and start questioning the experience they had, they're quite happy to let you have your thoughts. They're quite happy for you to think like that, and but they know different, and you'll never be able to absorb that energy. You'll never be able to take that energy away from them, because you can never say anything that will disprove what they know to be true. And this is where we need to be very careful when we're hopping from crisis to crisis and event to event, and watching TV. I mean, I haven't had a TV for, well, we got a TV, we watch DVDs and things, YouTube, whatever. But I haven't actually actual TV, as in watching any live TV or anything, for 4 or 5 years now. People find it mad. I'm actually at an event this weekend called the AV9 conference that Ian Crane has organised, and the people here, there are people you just sit at a table and you start talking about the fact you haven't had a TV, and you actually find other people like-minded, and they'll say, last night I was sat at the table and I said, I haven't had a TV in 4 or 5 years, thinking I was all good, and I'm sort of on this path. And then suddenly Thomas Sheridan turned right next to me and said, I haven't had one for 10 years. And then a lady across the other way said, I haven't had one for 16 years. No TV, no TV license, nothing live, and just going along your own path. And this is, on one table of like 10 people. So, this is where we need to be. We need to be detaching ourselves from the realities that everybody else wants us to believe, because we're being taken into things that aren't necessary, we don't know to be true. It's good to be aware, but this is where I'm against the awareness, what I call the awareness brigade. People say, oh, did you know this is happening, and the government are doing that, or the so-and-so is doing this, and I think I've grown up a lot over the years, and I realised that as soon as you step back from all that, all around you is beauty, and all around you is your truth. You look for the patterns, the synchronicities that happen in your life, and you feed from that energy. And it's an endless pot of energy to feed from, because nobody can take it away. And I think that's the lesson of today. Stay in your personal truth, from your personal experience. Look around you. Don't take anything for what it is, especially nowadays with the fact we can manipulate videos like this. Am I stood in front of you? Am I really saying this? Am I, is this a computer simulation? Has someone else done this? You're quite welcome to pursue all those paths if you met me in real life and I had a chat with you, and then you just see if it's, what you find is like attracts like. So people who actually understand parts of this, we all share information with each other. And then I might say something on this video, for instance, and you'll think, well, that's not necessarily real, it's not necessarily my reality. But then someone out there will go, actually, that's my experience, and I can feel that energy enter me. And you'll be careful where you get that energy from. If you're seeking that energy from trauma, so if you're watching terrible things on the TV and that have happened to other families and things, and you it's almost like, it's like some famous philosophers in the past have said, you love the trauma, you actually love it. You love to be traumatized by government, and you love to be you love to feel that you're being hated and persecuted. And it sounds a bit funny to be able to say that to anybody out there, because ultimately people feel, for some reason they sort of feel that because they've watched something terrible on telly, and then they've gone on to the next terrible thing, and they're watching YouTube video after YouTube video of fights and things like that, that, oh my God, that's really bad. And but you don't actually feel that's bad. You're absorbing energy from it, because you're searching the next fight and the next bad thing that's happened to somebody, and the next bit of trauma that some family's gone through, and you're feeding from that field constantly in a big one after the other, and you actually enjoy that. That's where you get your energy from, and it's a very negative experience. the frequencies that you tune into, which will be able to be measured one day by science, will be the frequencies of death, of you know, of absorbing yourself or deteriorating yourself inside. And we know from science and Dr. Masaru Emoto's work with water that we change the structure of our body, we change the structure of our minds just through thoughts. So imagine what you're doing to yourself when you're searching all this stuff and you're living in a constant state of panic and trauma. You're decaying. And you know, I think that when you live in your truth, what you know to be true, you can feel that. I always say, I know a lot of friends and a lot of people who watch this video also, you get the tingles from head to foot, and that's your truth. So when you speak and you don't realize where you're getting it, and I get it now, you can feel it. Sometimes it rises up from the back of it into your head, sometimes it goes from your head down into your body, but you can feel it everywhere. Sometimes it consumes your whole body and makes your legs go like jelly. And I say that whenever you speak, listen to what you're saying. Whether you're saying or thinking or feeling, actually, it's the feeling is the ultimate thing. But what led you to that? What thoughts or you know, things were you saying at the time when you started to get those tingles, and think, what, you know, if someone else is speaking and you get those tingles from them, make sure you listen to what they're saying and really focus in, because it's the universe's way of saying, here you are, here's your pure energy, you feel great now, and you're healing and you're connecting. And you know, that comes from personal truth, and it's a journey, and it's a personal journey too. There's no, you know, not one person can't discover a truth and then tell you that their truth is your truth. Universal truth, I suppose, would be change. Everything changes all the time. That's if you want to speak on a, you know, a sort of globe or universe scale. And so if there's a universal truth of everything changes, then we must also adapt and change. So as things happen, and as things adapt, we need to hop along on the good points of all that and stay and ride that wave of good feeling. And you know, and all the, I'm not saying you don't have to be aware of anything bad that's going on, because you need to avoid that. You can't just go around in life thinking everything's lovely, because it's not. But again, there's also truth in that, and there's truth in that, in those bad experiences that that also help you. And they, if you get bad experiences, then obviously there's something to be taught from that when you learn, you won't get that bad experience again. So it's like you're being nudged along all the time, and you have to keep hopping along that personal truth and all the good things that you find. And you know, when you make yourself aware of any evil, then and it's in your personal life, then you know, if you can't do anything about it, you must forget about it. We know that. But also, if you can do it, take an action, and then forget it. But to live in that world is very difficult, where you just do stuff, you know. We're all procrastinators. We speak about stuff. I know people who spoke about stuff for 20 years and never done it, and now they haven't even got the body or the mind to do all their dreams, you know. Sometimes you need to just do things and take that chance and hope that you get those opportunities come along from the universe. If it feels right, then it will work. So yeah, really, you know, is my second energy transfer video that I wanted to, you know, to give people a safe place to guide their thoughts and feelings. So stick with your personal truth. I must show you as well up inside of this tree. It's huge, to give you a comparison to how big this tree is compared to me. I must show you before I go up inside of it. Hang on. I don't think you can see on the video just how wonderful that is, but this is an amazing place here. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.